Hello, so I'd like to say a little bit about mindfulness today. I did make a video before about mindfulness where I related it essentially to the four inimitables of metta, that's loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and upekkha, equanimity. And the idea was that you have the right mindset, the right mind state for any particular circumstances in your life. And that's one way of looking at mindfulness and could be an important part of it. But it's not the only aspect that creates what we call the quality of mindfulness. There are many definitions of mindfulness, and they all seem to share the idea of being in the present moment and observing things, although what you observe might be different according to who is giving the definition. Bhante V. Malaramsi defines mindfulness as the way that observing the way the mind moves from one object to another. This is quite good, I think. You have to be in the present moment, really, to observe the way the mind moves from one object to another. And if you do this regularly, you will see how it's happening all the time. And that will help understand the impermanent nature of phenomena, the way that the mind can never stay with one thing, but it's always moving around. Everything is impermanent. And I think it's quite an effective way of looking at mindfulness, at least one aspect of it. Ajahn Jayasaro defines it as responding with wisdom to all the events of your everyday life. This is a very good definition, I think, but you have to understand what Jayasaro probably means by wisdom. He's talking about panya, the Buddhist quality of wisdom, so seeing reality as it really is, being in the present moment and observing reality as it really is. So this moves on to another definition, which is Ajahn Sumedho, who comes from the same tradition as Ajahn Jayasaro. And Ajahn Sumedho emphasizes the way in which, in the present moment, consciousness can observe the way the mind is working, or what the mind and body are feeling. So if you feel jealous, look at that jealousy. That's how it is. It's like this. If you feel angry, look at that anger. That's how you're feeling. It's like this. If you keep doing that long enough, this is a vipassana study, and eventually you will see the impermanence of everything, and how it's all non-self or anatta. So you think that you're jealous, but it's just the mind that's jealous. The part of you that is eternal, the consciousness, is not jealous. It never loses its equanimity. So allow the consciousness to observe the way the mind works, all its tricks and turns. And if you find yourself feeling agitated, don't try to stop being agitated. Just look at the agitation and say, well, this is how it is to be agitated, and let the consciousness observe the mind's agitation. And if you do this long enough, you will develop more equanimity, I guess is the long-term prognosis, so that you will eventually begin to feel less of these negative qualities the hindrances to enlightenment. So this concept is based on the idea of what is eternal in a person, and what's eternal is a consciousness. So the consciousness can actually watch the mind. So watch the mind when it's jealous, watch the mind when it's angry, watch the mind when it's involved in any kind of negative state. And by doing this, you'll see impermanence, dukkha, suffering. Everything that arises eventually leads to suffering, and anatta, that all of these things don't really belong to you. So your suffering, your jealousy, all of these things are not really yours, just like your possessions are not really yours either. So all of these things, by looking at these things, you can see that you have no true self. So this is a profound Vipassana study, and a way of looking at mindfulness that would explain the way in which, at the time of the Buddha, he often gave a teaching, and the people became enlightened just by listening to the teaching without any formal meditation practice. So it's a clue as to how that might have happened, I think, by listening to a profound teaching about non-self, and how by looking at the mind with consciousness, you realize that what we regard as reality is full of the three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So I think that this is a profound way of looking at mindfulness, and probably the most complete, and would include all the others as well. Certainly mindfulness is far from the rather trite view that many people put forward today of just simply being in the present moment and not tripping over and not doing anything stupid and things like this. It's much more than that. It's about wisdom. It's a wisdom-based quality. So hope this helps, and thanks a lot.